Sunrise Extra on a Thursday. How you guys doing? We are talking TV and TV icons around game show hosts, TV talk show hosts, because Ellen DeGeneres the other day announced that her next season of her show, The Ellen Show, is going to be her last one. She's quitting, she's retiring. She's going to be talking on the Today Show this morning to Savannah Guthrie about that decision and what kind of led her to that. Of course, she's had a rocky year with allegations of kind of verbal abuse and all kinds of stuff behind the scenes with producers on her show. So that got us thinking. It got really Drew thinking of, let's hear from you guys.
Don't try to climb inside of this head.
I don't want in there.
But you're right. I just thought, hey, this is a jumping off point for Sunrise Extra. We could talk about great talk show hosts. Maybe you don't even think Ellen was a great one, or maybe you thought she was the best one ever. We want to hear who you felt like really delivered it every day, every night, whenever they came on the air with their talk shows, because it's something that is dying, obviously. We used to have a slew of afternoon, daytime talk shows. We still have them at night with the likes of the Kimmels and the Fallons and so on and so forth. But Rod, my thought was, when we bring this topic up, Rod will go right to Johnny Carson. Am I right?
Yes.
How hot is it? Remember, Johnny would always do that if it was really hot in the audience. We'd go, how hot is it? And I remember one time Johnny says, it is so hot that Ed turned down a martini because it wasn't chilled enough.
But see, what you did not have on your side there was Ed himself laughing at your joke.
Sidekick, your faithful sidekick.
That's what carried Johnny for so many years, right? Ed's laughter.
Oh, yes, sir.
That's good. That's good.
There he is. All right, there's Johnny.
Is he with Joan Embry when she'd come on from the San Diego Zoo? That was money.
I will tell you that, honestly, I was pretty young. When Carson went off the air, I think it was 1992-ish. Does that sound about right, gang? Brenda, I'm not asking Nina, because in 92 you were 12, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember the exact
early
date.
90s.
It was early 90s. And when he went, but I was watching when I was, even 11, 12, 13, I would stay up late. And my mom at one point was working nights to where she wouldn't get home at midnight. And so I'd be up there like, everything's out, all the lights are out in the house. I can time this. I can hear when the car rolls up. I'm going to be downstairs watching the TV, getting at least that Johnny Carson monologue.
What is up with the monkey?
But he was one of the reasons I went to be in TV. I thought, like, this guy's having a blast on television.
Absolutely.
I want to have fun on TV like that guy does.
And you remember that it was also one of those theme songs that if you had the TV on and you were in your house and you were doing something, the second you heard that da 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 da, you knew it was time to go to the living room, sit down, and watch Johnny.
Absolutely. I did love Johnny
Who are
Carson.
your guys' favorites? Brenda, what about you?
Oh, my favorite? I'm just trying to think of things that I watched as a kid, because that's when I really watched game shows. Hollywood Squares. Paul Lynde in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean,
You keep going back to the game shows.
I know. Okay, I think of that as like all hosting things.
Any
I
host.
do. That's what I think of.
What was the name of the host? Do you remember his name? I can picture his face. I can't think of his name.
Who, Paul?
No. Paul Lynde was one of the actual contestants.
Yeah,
but who?
Marshall? Was it something Marshall?
Peter Marshall.
Peter Marshall.
Was it Peter Marshall? Wow, where'd that come from? I haven't thought about that in forever.
Yeah.
There it is. Look at our crack team back there.
In the center square.
There's Paul Lynde.
Paul Lynde. I said
Right?
Lynde.
He was on Bewitched.
Yeah.
He was Uncle whoever.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Was he the neighbor?
No, he was a
uncle.
warlock.
Uncle Warlock. An uncle who was a warlock.
That's a male.
What about you, Nina? Who do you love?
I loved watching Oprah. She is the best, one of the best interviewers, of our time. So I loved watching her show.
Same.
I loved Arsenio Hall too. He was just so fun. Like when he kind of came out, it was new and fresh and young and so exciting. I mean, he's a great actor too. When you go and watch, Coming to America.
Great.
I think he's a good actor. He's
I'm just asking for
funny, and
4
I don't know
movies,
why
please.
he's not in more stuff. I mean, if it's, him not really wanting to, or he just doesn't go out for roles or what, but.
Because you're the only one who thinks he's a great actor.
I mean, he's kind of right there with Eddie Murphy in terms of being funny, right?
Yeah, I think he's a funny actor. Anyway, so Oprah's probably my top.
Yeah,
we interrupted Sunrise Extra to bring a new topic. The overuse of the word great.
And amazing.
When is it inappropriately? Yeah. I'm just saying, outside of Coming to America and now the sequel, I don't even know if he's done another movie.
That's what I'm saying. Is like I watched that Coming to America sequel. I'm like, he's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
You know,
That was a travesty.
it sucked. Yeah, it totally sucked. But
That's
he was
disappointing.
fun to watch. So anyway,
What about you, Drusuf?
Well, I was thinking about Oprah as being one of the all-time greats. I mean, and I was almost basing that more on just her impact on TV, because we used to carry that show here at Channel 8, right? And it was like, it carried us for hours after.
Appointment viewing every day
People
at
watched
4.
Oprah, and therefore we were the best newscast at 5 and 5:36 and so on, because she set us up with such a huge audience.
Yeah.
And of course, we held that audience with terrific content of our own. But it was amazing how many people she drew in, you know, not just here, across the country, regardless of what city you were in. And that really stopped. I mean, Ellen was kind of like the heir apparent for that time slot, but it's not been the same. And it's not so much, I think, to do with Ellen, but just the fact that it's appointment TV is not really happening anymore.
Yeah.
and
very
the
true.
show. I mean, we have Kelly Clarkson, bless her heart. She's got a show now. Rachel Ray's got a daytime talk show now. Who else that's just kind of like,
What's his
a little
face
bit
isn't
of
on
everything.
anymore, is he? Tell me he's not on anymore.
Who, Jerry Springer?
Jerry
Yeah, that
Springer?
guy. Is he still on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. There he is,
Connie
though.
Staub
He's on right
Miller.
now.
There you go. My gosh.
How do you
the
do
fight.
that show and those topics with a straight face? I'll never know.
You get a paycheck on Friday.
Thank
There's
you
that.
very
Makes
much.
it all fine. Yeah.
Connie Staub Miller says Regis Philbin.
that's a
one
great
of the
one.
best.
Yeah,
I
love
loved watching like Regis and Kathy Lee.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were so fun and just like, jabbing at each other and so sarcastic. That was always fun to watch.
Did you also watch it when Kelly took over, or?
Yeah. But
So
those,
you watched it, but just didn't like it
those
as much.
two were the best.
Yeah. And Regis I mean, he wasn't a main player in the Hollywood scene until much later in life, right? Mm-hmm. And he didn't get those great headline opportunities until he was much older. It's cool to see. And I thought he was fantastic. I can even tell you, guilty pleasure, I enjoyed watching Regis and Kathy Lee.
Yeah, they just had such a good chemistry together,
Yeah,
they did.
and playing off each other.
Oh, look at that. That's big 80s hair.
Yeah.
I have to
Tell you
have
what,
it.
Kathy, I got to get to the headlines. Let's go.
Boy, they look young there.
Yeah, he would do that. And his Notre Dame, fascination.
The Fighting Irish play this Saturday.
That's right. I forgot about that. Stanford Walker is way back. The Dinah Shore
Yeah,
show.
how about
I
that?
remember that. Yeah, absolutely.
Merv Griffin, I mean, he's the originals, right? As far as daytime talk show hosts go. That is one of the first ones I remember seeing, as I would like roll up to my grandmother's house and she'd be watching TV in the afternoon. The Merv Griffin show was on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Margaret Rogers says Gene Rayburn. Match Game.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't that Match Game?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep, the original Match Game host. Yeah. And then Michael Garrison, Drew Barrymore, does she still have a show on right now? Is that right?
Drew Barrymore.
I remember she had the promos for a show.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
think
she
I ever
still
saw
has.
the
I think
show.
it got renewed too.
Okay.
I've watched it a couple of times.
But really, Michael really likes Drew Barrymore. All right.
All right. I was a huge Conan fan back in the late 90s, for sure.
When it was
I
on like TBS or something?
No, when he was on NBC, when he followed the Tonight Show, I would work till like 11 o'clock at night. And when I was back doing sports, I was part of the late night news.
Yeah.
Get off of work at 11:30, come home, maybe grab a beer or two with my colleagues just to have some, work fun. Get home, it's 12:30, here comes Conan. And I thought his show was fantastic.
Yeah.
Not so much the interviewing part, but the bits they did leading up to the interviews were great. So
Because he
original.
could kind of do anything, right? Because it was so late, it was just like, well, might as well try it, And
Right.
they could be kind of crude, rude, and obnoxious
I don't know.
almost.
In the year 2000, do you remember that bit?
That was my favorite. Absolutely,
Yeah.
Brenda. I
Yeah.
wasn't going to bring it up, but since you did, yes, that was my favorite bit. In the year 2000. In the year 2000.
It'll be stuck in my head for the rest
Nina's
of the
like,
day.
what is that bit? It was
I never
basically-
stayed up that
The year
late.
was
Brenda, how did you
1999,
watch
and they
it?
talked about the future, like it was
Yeah.
some far off
Yeah.
place, but it was
Like
just
far,
2000.
far off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're 21 years past that. Susan Decker says, I liked Maury Povich before he became the Baby Daddy show.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did make a
He does
turn.
have a nice, calm demeanor kind of about him.
The Baby Daddy show.
But
What
then
do
it
they
kinda
mean by
just-
that?
You know, where
Trashy.
people, women or
Yes.
whoever came on.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Basically, it's-
Director Brian is in my ear going, you are not the father.
Okay, I got
It
it.
was
Yeah,
a
and he's got
Jerry
the results in that
Springer-esque show.
manila envelope. Yeah, I hate that stuff.
It just,
It just makes, you guys know how I hate awkward moments like that and watching a show about that. Wow.
Because you used to think, really, did it have to go on to television? Could you not have figured this out before right now in front of the studio audience? Did it really have to come this far? Oh, geez.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, she's not happy.
Get it off.
That didn't work out well.
Horrible.
I just cannot. Jennifer Taft says politically incorrect with Bill Maher back in the day. And she
HBO.
says, I miss Jon Stewart.
Yeah, I really like Jon Stewart. I thought he was
What's
funny.
he doing now?
Anything he wants.
Isn't he
really
coming back like on HBO or something with a talk show?
I don't know.
Speaking of
I
great
thought-
actors, Jon Stewart.
I thought maybe that was true.
Fantastic
Stop it,
in
you
Big
are
Daddy.
such a troll.
One thing that I'll say about a lot of those late night talk show hosts, they weren't great interviewers, right? Like that's what they did every night, and I found that their interviewing skills were pretty weak. Jay Leno, even Conan, who I liked, Letterman I thought was better than the other two I just mentioned, but I just felt like you could see the questions coming. Like,
Yeah,
where's
well,
the
they're
hard?
comedians, and they want to keep friends, so people keep coming back. So it's not the place for like the hard hitting.
That's not what you watch it for, Drew.
Deep,
Yeah, come on, Drew.
What do you
deep
watch it for?
details.
Just to be entertained.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I would like answers to questions that
Oh, come on, you're being too critical.
No.
Kelly says Jerry is still going, as in Springer. Is
that right?
Where?
Well-
On what?
Shireen loves Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, he's a very likable man, isn't he?
I've seen that show in person. It is really, really fun.
Oh,
He's a
that's
very
fun.
likable
Yeah.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'm thinking about interviewing skills. I'll tell you what, I'm going to bring up a name that probably may not rub everyone the right way, but Howard Stern. I would listen to Jay Leno.
He's a great interviewer.
Great interviewer.
Yeah.
Because I would see a big-time celebrity like a J-Lo or an Alex Rodriguez type go on like Jay Leno show, and Jay would say, tell me about your new movie. And they'd talk about the movie, and it was like, okay, great. Then they'd show up on Howard Stern, he'd be like, tell me about your relationship with A-Rod. No, I mean, really, I want to hear
People
about
would say things that
it would
they would
eventually, like,
never
he'd
tell
hit them
anybody
so
else.
hard repeatedly that eventually they're telling you this great behind-the-scenes story about their life that you never would have gotten anywhere else. And to me, that was like, okay, that's the interview I wanted to hear. Like, tell me something I didn't see coming.
He is really good. Have you guys ever listened to Joe Rogan's podcast?
Yes.
He's just for being a dingling, and he calls himself that, other words. But and for the length of time that he gets to sit down with somebody, I mean, he pulls out pretty interesting, conversations and facts about people.
That's why I
and
can't
random
get
people you
through
would
it.
never ever know who they are or what they do. He does have interesting guests.
He totally does, and he's a great interviewer in that regard. But that's why I can never get through it, because they're like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
I
We
never
listen to
have
him when
enough
we, drive to
time
Bend.
from start to finish.
Yeah, and
That's
that's
the
why
key,
he's the
though, right?
highest paid podcaster in the world.
Good for him.
That's the benefit of having an hour to sit down with someone, I guess, instead of 7 minutes. You can actually get into some things that are worth hearing about.
That's what I loved about Carpool. The KGW Carpool, where we would like drive around with people. We would, be together for a few hours, a couple hours at least.
Right.
And they always surprised me. They would always say stuff, and I was like, yes. I found out something I didn't know before I got in the car.
I know,
Oh,
we gotta do that
Cascade Ducell, I agree. Jada Pinkett Smith has a good show. It's called The Red Table. Red
wanna
Table
watch
Talk.
that. I've
Where's
never
that
seen
at,
it.
Brenda? Where
It's
do you-
on YouTube.
Facebook, I know that they have a podcast as well, but I like actually watching it. And they've got this red table in their house, and guests come to them, and it's her mom, her daughter, and Jada. So it's 3 generations, and she's good. She gets into some, heavy topics, some funny things. So yeah, good
I
stuff.
do want to watch that. They've had some interesting guests like Lori Laughlin's daughter, Olivia Jade, who was involved in the college admissions scandal, and it sounds like they really grill her about just this celebrity privilege
Her
and
rowing capabilities?
Yeah, exactly.
We have Noah Clark chiming in, agreeing with you, Nina, that Joe Rogan's podcast, in his words, is great. I agree with, or he says, I don't agree with all of his opinions, but I know that he is a great interviewer. And that takes me to Jennifer Taft's comment, which I think is an important one. Jennifer says, I think we actually need to hear from views that are not always our own.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Jennifer Taft is talking about Howard Stern. I do like this, how people evolve over the years and you get to watch them, if you're a fan. But she's talking about Howard and said, a better human. He has done so much work on himself and on his, I guess, perceptions of the world and the way he treats people. Yeah, he's an interesting
I think
guy.
that has a lot to do with his wife, Beth.
I was going to say
who
the same
does a
thing.
lot of she rescues animals, and she's very involved with fundraising and nonprofits, and she just seems like a really good person. person, and thank God. I think she
you can
made
land
him a better
pin
person.
on his career, and there was a turning point when she entered his life.
Yeah.
And I think part of it was him trying to impress her, honestly, or him trying to make sure that she didn't walk away from him. But he definitely cleaned things up to some degree when she came along.
When he started, didn't he have a lot of foul language, et cetera, et cetera?
He talked about
right?
It's worse now than before because he's on satellite radio and he can get away with it. But I think before, his first wife, they eventually got divorced, and I think a lot of that had to do with her just being fed up with everything being thrown out there. There was nothing was off limits, and everything about their life was out there, and she's like, you may be okay with that, but it doesn't always work for me. And I don't think he's doing that as much now in marriage number 2.
It's only 2 for him, huh? Interesting.
I think he was married the first time, for 20-some years.
Yeah.
So, there you go. Anyways, I digress.
Yeah, Renee Robertson shouts out David Letterman. When the first handful of years when he was following Carson, or even when he got that more main time slot. But the first few years, I thought he was just really funny. David Letterman.
Was.
Then the show seemed like to me got a little stale after a while. The first few years, he's debuting the top 10 list. That was kind of a much no conversation topic for the next day at work.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? What was on the top 10 list? Yeah.
Now,
Was that part of his shtick that he wanted to seem bored with stuff? Sometimes his delivery was just this, and you hear the audience laugh.
I never
got his style really.
Yeah, it's just awkward and kind of curmudgeonly, even back in the day. Because I used to watch him when I was in grad school, and that was like '86, and it was again appointment viewing. Everybody loved Letterman because he was just kind of out there.
He also had the stupid pet tricks.
Yes.
And then the stupid human tricks evolved from that, which that was just good TV.
Have you seen his new, is it on Netflix, his kind of interview series? It's,
does he still have the beard?
he just seems like he's ancient.
He still has the beard?
It's all that white hair.
Gray?
It's the beard,
long,
and
beard?
he plays up too much. I think the fact that, he doesn't know about technology and he doesn't know what a phone looks like, and it's part of it is just so phony to me. But some of his interviewing skills have gotten, better, I think, over the years.
I was just going to ask about not Larry David, but Jerry Seinfeld, because you would call driving in cars with comedians a kind of a talk show, right? It's an interview, happens to take place in a car.
I really enjoy those. They're so fun.
I've never seen one episode.
You
so
haven't?
I was going to ask you about it and what your thoughts were.
They're all for free on YouTube. I think you can also watch them on Netflix. They're 10, 15 minutes long. That is a great one with Larry David. Jamie Foxx this last season was excellent. And sometimes they both, because it's, all comedians, and they both just start making each other die laughing. And it is so much, and sometimes the cars break down. They borrow cars from car collectors across the country, and he chooses a car that he thinks kind of represents the comedian that's on the show.
Okay, I had no idea about that element.
Yeah, and so it's a different car every time, and they drive somewhere and they go to a diner or they go somewhere and they have coffee, and it's, sometimes the coffee is gross and they make jokes about that. They make jokes about the breakfast or lunch they're having. You would really enjoy it, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, you should watch it. It's good.
Connie says James Corden is hilarious, and then Renee is pointing out that Letterman is 74.
Yes.
Okay.
He acts very like 100.
Watch it.
No, I'm just saying, he's play acting, and it just doesn't come across as genuine. He did one with Kim Kardashian, and they go into a Rite Aid, and he's got supposedly it's his smartphone, and it has duct tape all around it, and she's making fun of it, and he's like, I don't know how to use this thing.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see the Kim one. I saw that he interviewed Kanye back in, a while back in the day.
Yeah.
We could. It seems as though Noah Clark is just one step ahead of us, because before we started talking about this, he said, "What about celebrities in cars with coffee?"
Yep.
Oh yeah.
That's got some amazing interviews.
Yep.
I know we kind of deviated from the game show and we got kind of hooked into the talk show, but since it was brought up, I will say whenever I think about great game shows, I think of Love Connection. If you want to call that a game show.
Yeah.
I mean, the game was dating. There were
back
winners and
in
losers.
2 and 2.
That was the one with Chuck Woolery where they had the 3.
That's right.
And someone was like behind a wall or something
Yeah,
like
they had
that?
3 prospects that the audience would vote on as to who you should go out on a date with. The person on the chair can pick the audience's pick, or they can go out on their own.
And they can't see them because they're on the other side of the studio.
Well, first they have to go on the date, and then they come back to the show and talk about how the date went. And sometimes it was disastrous. And it
Are
was,
you thinking of the dating game, Nina?
no.
Maybe.
Behind
Like
the
where there's like a wall and
that's
you
the
can't
dating
see,
game.
and then,
game.
okay. never
Yeah, the Love Connection I thought was a better, kind of more
then,
well-produced version of the dating
So
game.
Drew Carney, what popular game show is still running today that Chuck Woolery was the original host for?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we know this. It's not coming to me.
Wait a minute now. Wait a
Is
minute.
it your favorite one, Rod, that you like to
Not
watch?
Jeopardy, but
Oh.
Wheel of Fortune?
yeah, Wheel of Fortune. Chuck Woolery and Susan Stafford, the original duo.
I don't think I knew that. I
On
thought it was something
Wheel
else.
of Fortune.
Yeah, I thought Pat Sajak and
No.
Vanna White
Yeah.
just owned that from the get-go.
There was a few years when it first debuted. It was Mr. Woolery. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also liked Tic-Tac-Dough. Not toe,
Oh,
dough.
yeah. That's right.
Tic-Tac-Dough.
Why
You
dough?
win money.
You win money. You win
Oh,
money.
dough, like
Yeah.
Dough.
How about the what was it? The wedding
Baking.
game? What was that called with Bob
Newlywed
Eubanks?
game.
The Newlywed Game. Yeah.
That
I
was
thought
hilarious.
you meant a female
They would
deer.
have really
Bob
funny
Eubanks.
skits. Yeah, Bob Eubanks. Yeah.
All right, gang. Does that
All
do it?
righty then.
If we're singing, we're leaving.
No, a deer.
Shall we blow the kiss like the
Oh,
dating
yeah.
game style? Get a turn?
Hey, we'll see you tomorrow.
That kiss landed on the hood.